Hi, welcome back to the Infinite Lifetime Sutra. I'm your host Angelina. So during the last episode, very quickly, we have ended episode chapter 3 of our Infinite Lifetime Sutra. Okay, so today we're going to enter chapter 4. So chapter 4, let us start. Okay, let me read the phrases to you. 佛告阿难，过去无量不可思议无量世界，有佛出世，名世间自在王如来，应供等正觉，名行足，善施世间劫，无上士，调御丈夫，天人师，佛世尊。在世教授42节，是为诸天济世，人民说经讲道。Okay, so this part, okay, today we can do two parts, right? So at this part, these episodes, okay, this chapter itself, chapter 4, start introducing us about the background of our Amitabha Buddha. Okay, so it starts. So if Amitabha Buddha, surely he should have another teacher before he becomes a Buddha, right? Because Amitabha Buddha is relatively young as a Buddha. Okay, his Pure Land now is actually also relatively young. So before him, there's definitely some other Buddhas. So who was it? Okay, so in the past few episodes, we have just introduced those who were present at this Dharma talk at the during our time of Lord Gautama Buddha, okay, who were present at all the great bodhisattvas. And then after that, we also talk about the characteristics of the bodhisattvas. And then we saw on that day how our Lord Gautama Buddha has gracious lights emitting from him, and then it triggered Venerable Ananda to ask the question that will then be praised by our Lord Gautama Buddha as that glorious of that fantastic question that has greater merits than if you were to give how this offerings to all the arhants and the Pachika Buddhas, or if you were to give offerings to all the beings in this entire world, it is much greater merit than that, because in the future, and all people will become Buddhas just because of this sutra itself. In fact, eventually you will be able to see that our Lord Gautama Buddha himself became a Buddha because of Lord Amitabha Buddha. Okay, and so will all the other Buddhas in the future. Okay, so when we look at this, first, the part that I read just now from the sutra, our Lord Gautama Buddha, was telling that in the past, okay, a long time ago, in the past, he didn't give a specific time, because if you become a Buddha, one day you will also be able to go into this particular time when this old Buddha, okay, was giving and teaching the people, okay, during his time for 42 aeons. 42节, yeah. Okay, so this great Buddha, okay, his name, okay, is called 世间自在王如来. Okay, 世间 is world, 自在 is freedom, Wang is king, Rulai is Buddha, okay, future Buddha. So if it is somebody, okay, a Buddha who has already achieved that kind of infinite freedom in the worlds, he transcended life and death. Okay, it just meant that all Buddhas transcend life and death. Okay, so it is actually telling us in the past there was this great Buddha who was teaching the people for the past 42 节 42 aeons, kalpas, whatever. Okay, it's just telling you the duration of which this great Buddha was teaching the Dharma to the people. Okay, 应供 that means one who is worthy of our offerings. Okay, because he's a Buddha, he is the one who knows everything. Okay, so of course he's worthy of the offerings. For us who are not Buddhas, when people give us things, we need to think about how to repay the kindness, how to work to make it worth whatever that they're giving us, right? So 等正觉 等 is 平等 okay, equality. 正 is right, rightful, righteous. Okay, the correct knowledge, the correct wisdom. Okay, 觉 is the realization. Okay, so you know that as the Buddha himself. Okay, this world ultimate freedom Buddha, right? He, just like all the other Buddhas, he has transcended. Okay, he has the greatest wisdom like all the rest, equally as equal as not just all the other Buddhas. In fact, all the Buddhas, their wisdom is equal as the universe itself. Okay, and then Ming Xing Zhu, so his wisdom and also his actions, they are all to perfection. All right, Zhu is sufficient, but Zhu is also the perfection. Okay, why has it become darker? I think outside is going to rain. Okay, so 善施. Okay, 善 here is we're talking about good. Okay, doing good. Doing charity is 善事, so it is about the good. Okay, 善良, when we're talking about 善良 to describe a person, it shows that this person has compassion. Okay, 善是 that means it is actually something about being the perfection in his giving. His giving is perfect, not just by his offerings to the past Buddhas, and then he himself as an offering to the entire universe as he has become the Buddha, and all the offerings to him is also a perfection. Okay, then 无上师 when 世间节 okay, 世间节 世间 is the world, 节 is understanding, so he understood about the world entirely, fully, completely, 100%. Okay, 无上师 when he's already the perfection this way, he's already right at the top with all the other Buddhas. Okay, when the Buddhas are thus, they don't have another teacher above them anymore. They have learned everything. They have perfected every single thing. Their wisdom is second to none. It's the perfection. They already know how this universe came into being. Okay, they already know your karma just by looking at you. They know your karma from the past to the present to the future. Right? They know. To us mundane people, when we see a person, right, we still need to have experiences with a person, interaction with a person, to be able to know what kind of a person this he or she is, right? We need to chat with the person, spend time with the person to be able to judge, to be able to know, if even if not to judge. But for the Buddha, how we are, who we are, what we are, everything is like an open book. In fact, it's not even a book, it's just like a case, a transparent case. He can see right through us. Okay, perfection. He does not even need to spend time to interact with us, to find out about us. He just look at us and say, oh, in the past you were like that, in the present you're like that, in the future you're like that. Oh, and you're doing well or you're doing bad. Okay, so it is just like that, because what they see is the as is of who we are, what we are, the entire world of what the world is, who, how have the world evolved, what is going to happen, what happened in the past, what is happening in the present, what's going to happen in the future. They know. Okay, so to them it is like um, an aquarium without any plants to obstruct or any sand. Okay, so 调御丈夫 okay, 调御丈夫 so they are able to tweak us. Okay, as somebody who no longer has any teacher above them. Okay, they are able to become the teachers themselves. Of course, they're the Buddhas, right? So they will tweak us, they will teach us, they will guide us. Okay, even now we don't have a living Buddha right before us, not like in the past when they have like Gautama Buddha in the India, right? We don't have that, but what we have are the sutras, all the references, all the books that they have already written and translated to us, and for us to understand, like just like the Buddha was right in front of us telling us all these things. Okay, in fact, if you were to read the sutra, every time you read the sutra, it is as if you have attended that very Dhamma talk itself, because all these things are based on the Ananda's recount of how the Buddha said it. Okay, so all these things right from the start, when you see in the Thursday herd, okay, at that moment, Thursday herd at one time at this venue, and then the Lord Buddha was doing this thing, and after that there was this question and he answered this way, right? In this sutra is the same too. So in this sutra, the language, it comes with like a first person's language. He answered by the word I. Okay, when you read all these things, the Buddha is, we can almost hear as if the Buddha is saying it to us when we read the sutras. Okay, because it is addressed to us like he is the first person. The book, the words itself are the first person, our Lord Gautama Buddha talking to us, and it is directly to us, okay, as the reader, right? So all the things that he guides us, those things that he taught us, and he is capable of helping us to transcend. Okay, but that is also our willingness to change, because we are our karma is strong enough, and we are able to let go enough to understand that what he is teaching us is definitely going to benefit us. Okay, not like some mundane teachings that may only be, as I've said in the previous episode, relevant in the past but may not be relevant in the future. What the Lord Gautama teaches us is actually relevant whether in the past, the present, or the future. Okay, it transcends. Okay, so 调御丈夫天人师 Okay, 天 we're talking about heavenly worlds, 人 is our human world, 师 is teacher. So Allah Gautama the Buddha, okay, 这个this 世间自在王如来 okay, this world freedom Buddha, okay, this Buddha is actually teaching the heavenly world and also the humans during his time. Okay, for 世尊 for is Buddha, 世尊 is also Tathagata. Okay, and then 在世教授42节 so he was teaching for the 42 kalpas, 42 kalpas or 42 aeons. Okay, 是为诸天士天即是人民所经讲道。So at that time, 世间自在王如来 he was like our Lord Gautama Buddha. Okay, they all do the same thing. They actually share the Dharma. They go around spreading the Dharma. Okay, making people understand. Those who listen to it understand it theoretically. If let's say they understood and they start believing and they start practicing, so eventually one day they'll become the Buddha as well. Right. So this is the something that all Buddhas do. Okay, regardless of how long was the span of their teachings. Okay, like our Lord Gautama Buddha, if we were to look at the current world, right, the historical books say that he achieved his parinibbana at 80 years old. So do you think that his tenure is only 80, right? Because even after he left us, okay, after he left us, his body expired, but his energy force can still manifest and be teaching the Dharma in other worlds. Okay, maybe to the heavenly worlds, maybe to his in his abode, in his own pure land, So in this case, we're talking about Lord Gautama Buddha, 80 years old, and this Buddha, this 世间自在王菩萨，王如来, this Buddha has a very long lifespan, and he was teaching and teaching and teaching and teaching and teaching non-stop. Okay, so comparatively, it is long. All right, but comparatively, maybe there are other Buddha worlds in which their Buddha may actually be teaching shorter time. Not surprised by that, because if we were to look at like the past versus the current and the future, in the past we understand that the lifespan or the mortality of humans is maybe like 40, 50 years old, right? But people's lifespan are getting longer and longer, and there are those that, in the past they may live to 100. Now they are also gradually living back to 100, right? And during the time when Lord Gautama was in India, the lifespan average was like 80. So he was there until he was like 80. It's just lifespan. Okay, and lifespan is deeply related to the karmic relativity of it. That's why in the start, I keep saying that time and space are just concepts. Okay, the illusional concepts that we have created because we don't understand about time and about space. Okay, so if you were to become a Buddha, you are already beyond time and space, so you can be anywhere, and you can be your lifespan is already infinite. It's just whether you manifest it into a physical form in a physical world to share the knowledge with a physical audience, or you at the same time you actually manifest it in another world, maybe a heavenly world, okay, without a physical body, just a manifestation with all the others who are also of just physical manifestation. Because remember, every time a Buddha goes somewhere to preach the Dharma, he has to be able to, the people need to be able to associate with him. Okay, if let's say the Buddha came into our world but looking different from us, his teachings may not be accepted, especially during that time, right? But he looked like us, he dressed like us, he behaves like us, he talked like us, and everything. is just like us, because we, with our limited capacity of understanding and views, we are only able to accept when he looks like us, right? So his manifestation is actually based on our ability to accept, our human ability to accept. Okay, all the entire karmic ready people, we can accept that. So that's why he manifested himself that way. Okay, then he was sharing the Dharma. So 有大国著名是老王. Okay, so there is this king from a huge kingdom. His name is 是老王. Okay, 是 is world. Rao, Rao is like moving around. Wang, king. Okay, so there was this king of a huge kingdom, 是老王. 闻佛说法. He went to listen to this 世界自在王如来 give his Dharma talk. He went to become a listener. 欢喜开解. He felt really happy. Okay, he felt joyous, and he understood the Dharma. Okay, when 世界自在王如来 was expounding the Dharma, he listened and he understood. Okay, then 寻法无上真正道义. So his understanding, it has gone to that kind of ultimate understanding where it is a peak of knowledge. Okay, it is the peak of the wisdom. So 修菩萨道. No, 齐国君王. So this king 行着沙门. Shaman, that means he entered into monkhood. Okay, shaman. So this king with a huge kingdom. Okay, damn rich, if you were to ask. Okay, if you're the king and you of a huge kingdom, you are super rich, richer than our billionaires of today, because he owns the entire land, the entire kingdom, and everything of it. He understood the Dhamma. He too let go, okay, of all that worldly stuff. He let go of his throne. He went to become a monk. All right, and then after becoming a monk, 皓月法藏. So when he became a monk, his name was 法藏. Okay, 法 is Dhamma, 藏 is treasure. So even with his name, okay, when he became a monk, he was ordained and given the name 法藏, Dharma treasure. Okay, so 修菩萨道. So as he understood the Dharma, okay, there is a potential implication over here that our Shura Wang, okay, this great king, after he listened to the Buddha's 世间自在王如来, the Buddha's explanations of the Dharma, he may have attained his sainthood. Okay, because the moment when you attain your sainthood, especially when you have become an arhat, you are not capable of just staying as you need to go into monkhood, right? You just need to go into monkhood, but it is not stated over here, so we will not go into deep speculation about this. Okay, but it could be an implication that he had attained his sainthood, and so he just let go of everything, because the moment you have become what you are, you just let go. Okay, but letting go, arhats are not capable of coming out to work. Alright, because not just because their merits are huge, but because there is absolutely no need for them to even work. If you're to ask me, if they have become arhats, actually they can do miraculous feats. They don't need to work, just like us. Okay, but Amitabha Buddha has always said that you don't misuse your miraculous powers, because if you use miraculous powers as a means to guide the people, then it is potentially inviting the evil ones to do the same and mislead the people, right? But when you become an arhat, you just become ordained, okay? So this could be an implication now that I read it, but let's not speculate about it. Okay, so he became a monk, 好法藏, then 修菩萨道, so 菩萨 bodhisattva. So when you talk about 修菩萨道, it is not just like, just sitting there and doing nothing. Remember our Samatha Bhadra Bodhisattva, the 10 vows? Okay, that is actually some of the 菩萨道 that we're talking about. When you take a vow to become a bodhisattva, right? So when you take a vow to become a bodhisattva, your main pillars will be the 10 vows of the Samathabhadra Bodhisattva. Let me talk more about the Samathabhadra Bodhisattva, Pusian Pusa. Okay, Pusian Pusa, he has 10 vows. Okay, 十大愿望. So in the past episodes, you can rewatch them because I have spent some time explaining about the 10 vows. But what that I did not explain before this, okay, was that Samathabhadra Bodhisattva was considered as a primordial Buddha in the Tibetan Buddhism. Okay, what is a primordial Buddha? When you look at the primordial Buddha, it means that the Buddha before the creation of the world. Okay, actually, all of us are primordial Buddhas. Okay, it's just that we have lost it, and then we start having all kinds of layers of mundane knowledge that are useless to us, and it is our job, our responsibility to become a Buddha once more. So Samathabhadra Bodhisattva, he is a primordial Buddha, and his color depicted was the clear sky blue. You know, the kind of blue that you see in the sky before there were any formation of clouds. Okay, why such depiction? It's because he, as a primordial, there is free time, free space. Okay, it is that ultimate truth, the raw truth itself. Okay, so Samathabhadra Bodhisattva in Tibetan Buddhism, Pusian Pusa, is not exactly like the bodhisattvas as the bodhisattvas. Okay, although in a lot of drawings you will see that he is depicted as one who rides the white elephant, and sometimes as a primordial Buddha, you may see him with a female consort, okay, in union. So when we're in Tibetan Buddhism, the female consort is a common, I would say that it is pretty common, right? Because it is not the male female husband wife kind of thing that we're thinking about. It's just the union of perfection. Okay, it's not depicting human, it's not depicting the kind of relationship that we're talking about. It is about the purity and also the wisdom. Okay, something like this. It's absolutely the union of the wisdom that forms the entirety of the truth. Okay, the ultimate truth. So Samathabhadra Bodhisattva's 10 vows itself is the pathway that all bodhisattvas take up when they take up the bodhisattva vows, okay, to become Buddhas, right? So as the primordial Buddha, whatever that he says is already the 10 vows by itself is already the universal truth. Okay, 礼敬诸佛. What is 诸佛? In fact, right? If we were to revise back what we have talk about in the 10 vows, the few chapters about the 10 vows. So, 诸佛, everything is a four. Okay, before our first birth, we are all Buddhas. Deep inside us, at the core, is our Buddha seed. So when you say pay respect to all Buddhas, okay, all Buddhas means everyone, not just the Gautama Buddha, not just the Amitabha Buddha, not just the 世间自在王如来, okay, not just the Vairochana, not just the Kashyapa Buddha, not just that. Everyone and every single thing, every single object, including like your mobile phones, your mug, your file, your calculator, your spectacles, everything by itself at the core is actually the Buddha. Okay, because it is all manifested from us. Okay, a branch out by the Buddha seed within us. Okay, just like our Amitabha Buddha took advantage of this fact. Okay, his world, his Buddha world, is a manifestation based on his Buddha seed. Okay, so you see all the perfection. He took maximum advantage of his capabilities as the Buddha to give us the best environment. Okay, this we must be very thankful about. So to be able to enjoy what he has created for us, our mind, our thoughts have to be in sync with him. Otherwise, we don't deserve it. Okay, so with this, 高才勇者, okay, high in wisdom and courage. Okay, what is it about the courage? The courage to accept the universal truth. The courage to accept that this entire world is fake. Okay, there are those, okay, us mundane people, when we are told the universal truth, when we are told that hey, actually this world is fake, what comes to mind? There is fear, because it's fear of the unknown, and then it is fear of the known, right? We don't know about this world, but we are mingling around in this world. We think that we can accept this world, and so we are not afraid of this world. But the moment when you tell them the universal truth that this world is actually a fake world, it doesn't exist, it only exists because of our own ignorance, that boom, come out entirely everything in here, they become afraid because they couldn't comprehend. They can't accept that this is the truth. Okay, it is difficult for them to even think about it, you know, because of the attachment to the families, to their friends, to their lovers, to their children. You know, that kind of affection that they have is also actually fake. Because if this world is fake, the parents is fake. I mean, the relationship is fake, the wife or the husbands are fake, the children are fake. But when you look at our world today, the people, right, they're like, these are my children, especially those with children, these are my children. Okay, for 9 months I've been carrying them, so they are my children. So you take it as real. Okay, everything that you see here, you take it as real, and you don't want to accept the reality that all these are actually fake, right? Including your job, your career, the money that you have in your bank, the money that you don't have in your bank that you have in your wallet, or the money that you have lent it over to somebody else who has never returned it to you. Okay, all those are actually fake. In fact, every manifestation around you are actually fake, but you cannot accept that because you are afraid of accepting it. You're afraid that you will lose everything, but you don't own anything of this. You can't change anything of it. You think that this body belongs to you. It doesn't belong to you. The body will change according to you, to the concept of the age of the time, right? Based on concept of time, the body age because you grow older. Okay, and so people say. And then after that, it also grows in terms of the space. When you were a child, you're this small, and then now you're an adult, you're this big. right? So you're afraid. You think that you own something, but actually you're afraid it you didn't own anything at all. Okay, it's also the same as when I'll just make it really mundane, I'll just make it really worldly, like people are afraid to let go of the company or the position in the company, because to them they have associated themselves with the position in this company, and so they're afraid of losing it, and therefore they want to hold on to the thought that yes, I am the CEO of this company, yes, I'm the CFO, I'm the COO, I'm the what of this company, right? But not knowing that this is actually fake. How can you control it? Can you control that one day probably your board of directors would like to change you for another CEO? It cannot, right? You still need to let go. That thing doesn't belong to you. Nothing belongs to you. Even the board, the companies don't belong to them. The company also does not belong to any single entity, not even the person who spent the money to open up the company. Okay? Because it will change. Things change. You change. I change. The world changes. And so you can't control anything. But then there are also those that teach you that there are things that you can control, the internal things that you can control. But the ultimate internal thing that you should control is actually your own mind, your own mindset, your own train of thoughts, your own thoughts. Okay? You just keep holding on to it. And so you won't accept when people are telling you the truth that, hey, actually, these are all unreal. You cannot accept it, right? So, this um, Fa Zhang, okay, Venerable Fa Zhang, as the Shira Wang, who became the monk with the given name Fa Zhang, he understood, okay, he is willing to go into becoming a bodhisattva, taking the vows of the bodhisattva, and then he he has all this wisdom and he has all the courage to accept the truth. And so accepting the truth is one thing, okay? Accepting means you believe that it is the truth, okay? You know that it is the truth and you're willing to accept it as the truth. That is the courage, okay? And then 于是造诣 okay? 心结明记，细节第一，又有四神因缘，四神行愿，即念慧力，正上其心，坚固不动，修行精进，无能于者。This is his practice. Okay, the moment he stepped in to become a monk, he took on the bodhisattva vow, and then he practiced accordingly, ardently, with a lot of courage. You have to know, when you take up the bodhisattva vow, it's not going to be something that is smooth sailing. Okay, it's not theoretical, it has to be practical knowledge that you are gaining over that. It has to be a practical experience that you are only able to let your wisdom surface. Is by this all this practical thing that you can remove the layers of all this worldly wisdom that you have gained. Okay, throw out all these layers so that your inner Buddha seed can become profound, can resurface, and you entirely as a whole is actually just that Buddha that you were supposed to be, that you were. Okay, so he understood everything. His analytical of things are number one, and then he has all his actions and everything are just perfect. There is no corrupt. Everything is righteous. Everything is rightfully done. Okay, so his wisdom, the strength of it, everything becomes greater and greater. Okay, one thing you have to know, if you are a righteous person and you are practicing accordingly, the energy is actually becomes bigger and bigger. Okay, and then 正上其心，坚固不动. So he is steadfast. Okay, his heart does not waver. A lot of people's heart waver, you know, the moment when you actually try to do something good like that, right? There are a lot of obstacles. Some obstacles are like family. Some obstacles are like love. some obstacles like children, some obstacles like power, fame, wealth. Okay, there are a lot of obstacles. It's just a matter of whether you have that steadfastness to understand. Since you theoretically you already understood, it's just a matter of you taking out the practical part of it to be able to see for yourself, experience it for yourself, the reality, the truthfulness of these Dharma teachings, right? And so he had done all that. Okay, he was ardently in practice, and there was actually, if you were to compare him with all the other monks during his time, there was none other than him. Okay, he's second to none. So his perfection, all his practices, his discipline. Okay, you like to talk about the word discipline. His discipline is that of the number one. Okay, among all his peers at the time. And in fact, you can't even compare him to his peers, because peers who don't really practice may have the flaw, but he has, with his wisdom, his ability to understand, his ability to analyze, and to be able to accept and to follow the teachings, to take up that bodhisattva vow and to do it accordingly. He's number one. Okay, so for this episode we will stop until here. Okay, because this chapter 4 itself, it starts introducing the Buddha who taught Fa Zhang Bodhisattva. Okay, the monk who took up the Bodhisattva vow, and it will lead to that thing where he eventually becomes our Lord Amitabha Buddha. Okay, so we shall continue in the next episode. So for this episode, we shall end here. So while all of us, we are still in this world, right? Still so blurred, still not able to accept the reality. Keep chanting Amitabha. Okay, until then, we shall meet again. If you've watched this episode right until here, that means your karma is actually exceptional, right? So we'll meet again in the next episode. I will come back. Take good care. Okay, Amitabha. Bye bye.